Well, we have Nowita Igbotako with us, who is a frontline human activist and also a serial author of many books. Sir, you're welcome to this program this morning on ITV.
Good morning.
Yeah, we're looking at the hate speech bill that has been presented before the Senate just yesterday, the first reading. And Nigerians are yet to know the details. But it appears, going by what we read here now, that there seems to be death penalty for those that will be found guilty if this bill eventually becomes a law. What are your reactions?
Well, first and foremost, such bill is not needed in our political climate right now, because the system is confronted with so many issues. You have economic issues, you have Omoyele Sowore in detention, and a lot of apprehensions.
Yeah, but he has been bailed, only still expected.
Well, you know, you see what happened in Abuja yesterday, you know, at the DSS office and things like that. So, each bill for now is ill-timed. It's ill-timed. It will not go well for the polity for now, because people, and the kind of democracy we operate in Nigeria is a kind of amateur democracy.
No, you cannot say
so. Because it's amateur democracy, because the operators, most of them are not matured. They have democracy, or a democracy of witch hunting, political witch hunting.
Now, when you say most of them are not matured, I'll take that as your own opinion.
Well, it's my opinion, because hate speech, anti-hate speech bill is more like the police thing, police bill thing, that is autonomy for the police and things like that, state police, so to say. Understand? It will be abused. Politicians will abuse it. And as I said, it is unwanted at this period, because in the long run, it will infringe on the fundamental rights of Nigerians. Because the operators, as I said earlier, the operators are they are not matured. The operators are as I want to use, they are not pro-people. Most of the operators in our democracy, they are not after the wishes and aspirations of Nigerian people. And the reason is it's not far-fetched, because the way they emerge, you know, we are still battling with fair and fair elections. The economy is something else, and people are not happy. A lot of tension. Is it now that sub bill should be thrown up?
Well,
we don't need it.
Yeah, no, let me quickly add here. We don't know the nitty-gritty of the bill yet, but let us also try to look at it that this may go beyond government, because it looks as if when we say hate speech bill, people just center attention, or government is trying to bring another bill against it relates to government alone. But don't you think that this hate speech bill may perhaps relate to you and I? I mean, if I speak hate speech against you, you can take me to court, and if I'm found guilty, I'll be liable. Don't you think so?
In most cases, what is obtainable in our system is mostly politically motivated. The other time, people were talking that the Igbos should go back to their base, that the Hausas should go back to their base. And if you look at the thing critically, it is the handiwork of political contenders in the system, political gladiators who want to be, you know, to be heard, who want relevance in the system. So hate speech is more about the elite, you know, because if you look at the definition of hate speech, you know, it's threat or abusive statement or written or horror, you know, against a particular group, you know, or race or religion. And the way this is done, in most cases, is politically motivated.
Well, but I think for this government now, for a government that is fully constituted, I mean, we are not at elections now. Elections is going to be sometime in 3-4 years' time. And some people say, what is really responsible for the government of the day, you know, through the Senate now trying to bring up this bill? So what do you think is, one would have expected that, okay, during election period, so that politicians don't hate speech against themselves. So why do you think this bill is now?
You see, politics is played now and then. In Edo State, politics is being played. You see what happened yesterday in Edo State. So people are already scheming. people already, you know, playing their game towards 2023 or something. So the anti-hate speech for me is not really about the ordinary citizens. It's about political sophistication being played by the elite to gain relevance, to continue to manipulate the ordinary people on the street. The average man on the street is not interested in hate speech. The average man is moving about, seeking how to get his daily bread. So you can see reactions, because what the average Nigerian will look at hearing hate speech is that, oh, this is another way to reduce, to curtail, to abridge people's fundamental rights to opinions. Because most people are, you know, are not happy with the system. Most people are agitated. And people have their political, you know, views and you know, so hate speech for me, even looking at the United States, for instance, is not regulated in the United States. The First Amendment made it very clear that hate speech is protected. Hate speech is protected. It's a free speech. You understand? Why?
But I do know that in the U.S. you have laws that relates to slander. When you slander against somebody, when you libel, in case of writing, you can be held responsible.
Even in Nigeria, we have such laws. So why trying to single out a particular bill? For me, it will snowball into political witch hunting. It will further eat the system. We don't need it. The average Nigerians don't need it for now.
But don't you think also that some Nigerians perhaps also, you know, take things for granted? I mean, if you go to the social media, way the social media is awash with comments against governments, you know, talking about personalities and all that. No wonder the other day that the government said that they were also going to enact a bill to make sure that they control comments on the social media. So when we have this kind of law trying to come into our constitution, don't you think we need it?
There's a way cyber crimes and other social media, you know, crimes could be curtailed, you know. And the other day, the Minister of...
you mean social media comments?
Yes. Though I am not comfortable with some of the things that happen on social media. That some people just go there to do terrible things. You know, like the case that involved the First Lady, such blatant lies, such terrible things that, you know, the manipulator upon social media. It is not good for our democracy. But the Minister of Information, like Mama said already, that they are going to combat it. But it's not a bill on hate speech that will combat such activities in social media. Some of us are not happy that some people don't go to social media and start posting all sorts of atrocities, you know, to hit up the system, to make everybody uncomfortable. We don't need it. I know ultimately, when you're talking of hate speech, nobody wants a situation like the former Rwanda. We don't want to go to Kigali. Fine, but we are not in that state. And the way the Nigerian system is structured, I don't see us going into a civil war. Because those that are supposed to finance civil war, they are afraid to finance civil war. The elites are afraid to let the situation graduate into an unmanageable situation.
But that's not good for anybody. So it's
but the point I'm trying to say that they would not have allowed the system to graduate to that level. So it is the elite that the problem of Nigeria. It is not the man that is sitting at the road junction selling biscuits or the woman selling akara. That's the problem in Nigeria. So for me, I think I speak the minds of the nature of Nigerian people. Hate speech is hate time, it's unwanted, it will further eat the system, it will compound situations. We don't need it.
Yeah, when you say the elites are the problems of Nigeria, even the elites at times also accuse the followers like you and I, that look, you guys are the problem, not necessarily we, not necessarily them, the elites.
You see, when you live in a society where poverty is prevalent, when people barely hit a square meal, what do you get? The elite manipulate the people. As I speak, election is going to come up in Kogi and Bayelsa shortly, and people are already running eta-sketa. People are already trying to see.
People are not running.
Look at what happened in Kogi yesterday. Look at the the activity that happened in Kogi, the President of Police was there, Mahmoud, the Yane Chama was there. Look at that situation. So the system is already agitated. People, you see, so...
No, the system is not agitated.
No.
Let's you don't stay in Kogi State, so you can't say...
No, we read, we follow up. I am a media man too.
But that may just be from one person. You've not heard from the other person.
Well, for me, and from what we know, is the elite that have the capacity to inflict violence, to inflict horror in the society. It's not that they merely use the ordinary people. Those who cannot, find their level in the system, they use them to perpetrate their heart. All the political things we are seeing, all the political manipulations, the elite will not use their children. It's street urchins, motor park touts, school dropouts, and what have you, courts, and what these are the people they use.
Okay, now
So,
this hate speech bill in the winter, this hate speech bill, if eventually becomes a law, don't you think it should also relate to even the elites, just as you are trying to say? Because at times we've heard of, how some leaders in some countries go outside the countries and make some very bogus and refined, defined statements against their people. So if it becomes a law in our country, don't you think it should go pari passu? I mean, it should go for the governed and even those in government too. Don't you think so?
Well, in the first place, I don't see the anti-hate speech surviving. I don't see it seeing the light of the day. People are already reacting. People will go to any length to confront it, to stop it, to make sure it does not survive. But if you say, well, our democracy is just nonsense, as I said from the beginning, most of our politicians, they are parochial. Most of them, not all of them.
Yeah,
but they have this selfish agenda which they inflict on the society. So if you have a system that is well structured.
When you say most of our politicians, I think that would be too unrealistic.
Most of them, we see what they do. Okay, look at what happened at those days yesterday. I don't want to mention names.
No, but it's
just
politics.
The intelligence of the people.
No, it's politics. I mean, every politician has right to express his or her wish. So for the fact that I'm not doing what you expect, it doesn't make me less of a politician than you. So that's the way it should be.
Well, for me, because of the way we do things in Nigeria, we don't need it. But as you said, if it's said through, I'm sure it will try and curtail one or two things. You understand? But if it says true, I see the operators sitting at the corridor of power, using it to winch-hunt their political enemies.
Okay. Now, some people say that this hate speech thing, people probably don't even know what really constitutes hate speech. So for them, the people trying to promote the bill should try to educate the people first that, look, this is what constitutes hate speech. So please be careful so that you don't make it. So what are your reactions to this?
We'll be trying to look at the bill from a few days ago. We try to look at it, what the senator is trying to do. Well, I think by and large, but ultimately, it will not go well for us. Because the operators in the system, they will not let it work. They will use it to their own advantage. And I don't want to point across the fingers. We know what is already happening in the polity. People already projecting. Look at what is happening in the presidency, for instance. People already projecting for 2023. So, and in this political chess game, the ordinary people are not relevant. So as I said, it's the elite. They are the manipulators, they are the originators of hate speech and what have you, because they do it to further the political nest. That's the truth of the matter. Okay,
well, looking at the diversity of our country in terms of culture, in terms of tradition, in terms of the seemingly impression by some people that, look, this country is too big, it's too wide in terms of our culture, our religion and all that. Now, we cannot live together. That's the impression of some people. Now, for them, there's that tendency for them to hate speech against another person. There's a tendency for an Igbo man to hate speech against a Kalabari man. There's a tendency for a Benin man to hate speech against an Hausa man. Don't you think, looking at all this with this kind of, things, trying to play out in our country, that we need this kind of a bill?
Evans, an average Nigerian citizen is going about this sort of business. It's the elite that are the problem of Nigeria.
So you are saying that this bill cannot promote unity in this country?
Those who are fanning the embers of racism, ethnicism, religious, whatever, they are the elite. Do you see somebody that is hungry that will not be saying, okay, you see an Hausa man even in Benin, you see another man at the remotest place in Delta, you see an Igbo man, it is the elite that will heat up this thing to their own advantage. So, as I said, the people are just like pounds. They don't use them, and so it's the elite that have the capacity to sponsor a speech. Okay, is it easy for someone to go and rent a hall, do a press release and addressing people? An argument will do that to pay for publicity and all that. We don't want this obtainable in the system. So, for me, the anti-speech bill is for the elite, and by the elite.
So
I don't see how, because an average Nigerian goes about his normal business. It's those who are politically inclined, those who are ambitious, those who are desperate for power, those who want to override their fellow human beings in the name of power, that they want doing these things, that they want promoting this, promoting that.
You can face the camera a bit so that...
So the fact of the matter, viewers, is that we don't need it in this democracy. We don't need it.
Well, this is only your opinion on which...
Yeah. Because it further compounds certain issues. We are confronted with economic issues, we are confronted with security issues. Then what is... it will heat up the system. Because even the originators of the anti-hate speech may mean well. But once the thing is passed, you just play into the hands of politicians who will now sit and start riding roughshod over the people of Nigeria.
All right, the program is still this morning on ITV. We're looking at the bill that has been made before the Senate. It has gone through first reading yesterday. A bill that prohibits against hate speech. So eventually, when it becomes a law, it means that when you hate speech against another person, you are liable to the law. You are liable to, you would have offended the law. That's the way it is. But what people are saying, just like what Nowita is saying here, is that we don't know the content. How is the workability of the hate speech? If it's going to be just within government alone or among the citizens. If I hate speech against Nowita Igbutako, Nowita Igbutako can take me to law and of course take me to court, and of course I would have been, I would have fallen short of the law. So these are some of the reactions that, thrilling this Senate, position, this bill that has been read before the Senate just yesterday. Now, Nowita, remember this is not the first time that we're having this hate speech
bill. Yeah, it was thrown up at the time.
I remember during the last Senate, sometime last year, we had it, it came and it was thrown.
It did survive the first reading.
All right, so what do you think is the possibility that it will survive now?
It won't. It won't survive because the NBA is already talking. The civil society people are already talking. It will not survive.
Yeah, but some people say that the reason why it did not survive then was because it was an election period. So the government needed not to do something that will hit the polity. So this time is not election period. And perhaps the government did not even have enough time to really explain to the people that, look, this is what really constitutes hate speech.
Well, we expect the Senate to come out full throttle. The originator of the bill can educate Nigerians. But some of us have seen, we have glanced through the bill somehow. the proposed bill, we don't need it. We don't need it, left or right.
That's you don't need it. Don't say we.
I
From your own point
majority of Nigerians.
Yeah. No, you can't speak for majority of Nigerians.
As I said, we don't need it because there are other issues that are nagging. Nagging issues. The border is closed, and we are seeing some of the things that are coming out of the border closure. People are adjusting. Now somebody's talking about anti-hate speech. Security issues are there. Survival issues. Impoverishment in the system. It's for the elite. The elite should for one just leave Nigerians alone and let Nigerians be.
Okay. All right, thank you so much, Wita Butako. Always exciting time to have you on this program anytime, any day, this morning on ITV. Well, we'll take a short pause now, and we'll bring Harrison Izeko, who is on the standby, and also Solomon Idiogbe. Let's look at political situations in Edo State. Yesterday, we understand that two fractions now, one has said that the national chairman has been suspended. And also, just yesterday, we saw that the scribe of the APC, that's the secretary, Lawrence Oka, was suspended. And also talks here and there that some big political bigwigs are leaving some big political parties and coming to the APC. What will all this amount to as the Edo 2020 draws near? Please stay tuned.